Hi, my name is Kerry Goulder from Kid Giddy, and I'm here to show you how to use another pattern piece on my doll clothes die from Sizzix. This piece is going to make either a pair of underwear or a diaper. So I'll show you both different ways here. What you'll need is some fabric. You'll need two different fabrics for the diaper, and you'll need some fabric for the underwear. You'll also need some elastic for the underwear and some hook and loop tape for the diaper. You'll also need the small cutting pads. We don't need to use the long ones because this is a very small piece. And you'll need a Big Shot, and this die works in any of the Big Shot family machines. To get started, we're going to place our fabric on the die. I want to make sure I've got all of my edges covered. If it's directional like this print, make sure that it's going to be correct when you are finished. I'm going to cut out my other pieces as well. I want to try and get a little swan right in the center. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. Maybe this one. And then we'll get this little fabric piece. If you've got some smaller pieces like this one on top of larger pieces, just make sure that you are covered on both sides. And then we're going to roll that right through the machine. Here we have two pieces for the underwear, a front and a back, and we have two pieces for the diaper, the outer piece, and two pieces for the lining. So to get started, we're going to sew two pieces together for the outer of the diaper, two pieces together for the liner of the diaper. So you're just going to stitch this inside seam right here on both of those. And we're also going to stitch the inside seam for the underwear. You want to back stitch at the beginning and the end. And then just chain stitch and put the next one in right afterwards. Now we have our two sets for the diaper and we have our set for the underwear. Things start to get a little bit different here, so I'm just going to show you really quick how to do the underwear and then we'll move back on to the diaper. So for the underwear, we need some elastic. I really love using this little cute edged detail elastic for underwear. Now we're going to start by putting our elastic on the inside leg of the underwear. And you're going to stretch it just a little bit, and then you're going to move it around to the other edge. Typically I use 4 inches, and I will use either a pin to mark my 2-inch mark, so I know that the 2-inch mark goes right in the center, or I'll use a water-soluble marker to mark that point as well. I like to keep it attached. I don't want to cut it because it makes it easier to pull as I'm going along through the sewing machine. So I'm going to mark my 2 inches here. I'm not going to pin it to the underwear yet. I just want to mark it. When we're attaching elastic, I like to use a zigzag stitch. So check your machine, try a little piece of scrap fabric first. Make sure that's the size and the length of a zigzag stitch that you want. So I've got mine set, and I'm just going to start attaching right here. And you want to pull ever so slightly on the elastic so that it actually will shrink back with the fabric. So I've got my pin marked in place. That's my halfway mark. And then I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to come back the other way. Now I can take my pin out. Just go around this little curve here. And now I want to start doing the other side. And you just, every once in a while, stop and adjust as you need to. Once you finish the first side, go on to the next side. I've sewn the elastic on the inside legs, and I've sewn the elastic on the top edge. The top edge is the exact same. Again, you just want to measure it out, pull it as you go, and put a little zigzag stitch right along that top edge. Once your elastic is on all your edges, except for the sides. You're going to roll the elastic outward, and you're going to put those little ends together, pin them in place. You want to make sure that you've got your corners lined up so that you don't have one side longer than the other. And do the other side. Then you're just going to stitch those edges together. Then you're all done with your underwear. Make sure when you stitch the legs that you're not getting the elastic bunched up. And you can stitch this with a straight edge, or you can still stitch it with the zigzag stitch. Because it's a little bunched from the elastic, you want to make sure that your seam allowance isn't bunched. Backstitch the beginning and the end. The underwear is all sewn up. All you have to do is turn it right side out. You might want to clip a couple of those little threads that might be hanging out from the fabric, but they're otherwise all done and ready to be worn. So now that we've got the underwear done, let's move back over to the diaper. So for the diaper, we also need some little diaper tabs. To make the diaper tabs, you want to sew 2 pieces right sides together, clip around the outside edge or notch if it's the outward curve, and then turn it right side out. Next, you want to top stitch it just like I did on this piece. So I'm going to top stitch this one and I'll show you where to place them. Now that we have our diaper tabs, we're going to place them right along the edge here on the side, and we're going to pin those in place. Next, we want to take our hook and loop closures, and we want to cut little pieces to sew on this edge. So this will be the opposite edge from where we've placed our tabs. Make sure you cut them the same length. And then we're going to sew them right there on the edges. You want to make sure you don't sew it directly on the edge because you're going to need some seam allowance, about 1/4 inch. So I like to stay a little bit further away from that 1/4 inch mark. Okay, so let's sew those down. If you want to pin it in place, you can. We have our 2 pieces of hook and loop tape sewn to the front of the diaper. And now we're going to take the diaper lining and place it right directly on top. So we've got the tabs on this side, the hook and loop tape on that side. We're going to start by sewing from the back side. So the tabs are actually the back side of the diaper because the tabs will come around to the front. So we're going to start here, leave a little opening. We're going to sew all the way around, flatten out your seams here, and all the way around to the other edge, and again, leave that opening. When you get to the center point, use about a 1/8 inch seam allowance because you'll need a little bit of room to get all of that bulk out, and then you'll be able to turn it right side out easier. Once you've sewn all the way around your diaper, you want to clip all the corners so that reduces bulk, and then you want to clip the inside curve here because that will be very tight and it won't sit right. It'll be all bunched up. All you have to do is clip a little straight cut right along this inside curve. Okay, then you want to just clip right in here near that seam and then go along the other edge. Once you do this side and this side, you're ready to turn it right side out. So go ahead and finish clipping and then turn your diaper right side out. Now that I've clipped all my edges, I'm going to turn it right side out using one of my turning tubes, the biggest one. It's going to be a little snug, but if you stuck to the small seam allowance, that'll definitely help. So we're just going to stick one side in, and now I can start pulling that out. Now there's one little piece still in there. All you have to do is pull it this way, You can't really get this piece back in there, but if you want to use a smaller turning tube, you can do that. Otherwise, just keep pulling on it and it'll come out. Got that little tab there. There we go. Now you're just going to poke out all your corners. Well, you don't really want to poke a hole in it. You just want to make them nice little corners. So you're going to just run all along the top with a basic top stitch. Now that we've sewn a top stitch on the diaper, we just have the little tiny tabs left to finish it. So your diaper is basically going to go like this, and the tab will come over. Once it's on, it'll come over a little bit further, or maybe not, so you can have it however you want, but we're just going to sew the opposite piece of the hook and loop closure onto our tabs. And then we're all done with the diaper. Now we've finished putting all the pieces onto the diaper, and so now you can put the diaper onto the doll or the underwear. If they're a toddler, they don't wear diapers anymore. Just like that. So now you know how to make some underwear and some diapers for your Kid Giddy dolls, and I hope you have fun doing that. If you want to use some regular felt material to make it a little bit easier, you can do that as well. That might even look a little bit more like a true diaper, but you can make it however you want, and I can't wait to see what you make.